Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Starfield, and today I wanted to share with you guys what is potentially my favorite thing about the game. Now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever it comes to space games, one of the things that I really enjoy are the ships. As a matter of fact, I'm someone who grew up with Star Wars, and I actually enjoyed the ship combat parts a whole lot more than the Jedi parts of those movies. That's not to say the Jedi parts are bad, they're pretty cool too, but to me, the space combat with the ships was always much more interesting. I mean, my favorite sci-fi ship of any show ever is the Millennium Falcon. I know I'm a bit of a basic bitch when it comes to that stuff, but there's a reason behind why it's the Millennium Falcon. It is because it is the ship that kind of defies all odds. This is a ship that is essentially a cargo ship outfitted with a couple of weapons and custom modifications to go ahead and go super fast and all of that stuff. And I just like that concept, like this hybrid ship that can do a whole lot of roles while necessarily not excelling at any one specific role, but still, through the skill of the people piloting it, being able to do really outstanding feats. That's like a big fantasy for me. And as a matter of fact, whenever it comes to space games, it's fairly easy to understand that ships are usually people's favorite thing. I mean, I don't know if you heard about this small little indie game called Star Citizen, but, you know, that is the reason why Star Citizen basically sells spaceships to everyone, because whenever it comes to people that enjoy space games, most likely they're going to be into ships. And that is why they heavily monetize their ships. They know this. They're like, of course, people are obsessed about ships, so we're going to make 1 million of them, and we're going to sell them to you until we get, like, I don't know, $1 billion in funding. Right now, I'm assuming they're somewhere north of $600 million, $700 million by selling you ships that don't even exist. That's how much people tend to enjoy ships, and that is something that I personally enjoy as well. So, after the last stream, I went ahead and spent a little bit of time, and I created this thing. Just look at the sheer size of it. It is massive. It is intimidating when you look at it. You're like, holy crap. All I can see is like the big front part. Jesus Christ, Rurikhan. What the hell have you done? And I'm going to show it to you guys in Ship Builder. First, I want to go through the building process here with you guys. But like, check this out. Look at this beautiful bridge right here. You have a bridge right here that is massive. It's got like 2 pilot seats. It's even got like a thing. I'll show you guys the inside of the ship in a second. I just wanted you to appreciate a little bit the scale of this absolute beast. Like, look at this. Look at this weapon. This is a weapon, okay? This ship is absolutely gorgeous. These are my fuel tanks right here. We have some turrets over there, my shield generator. This is an amazing vessel. You guys like, holy crap, Rurikhan. Where do you buy this ship? You don't buy this ship. You make this ship. And that is probably my favorite feature of Starfield. It is creating spaceships. So, come with me as I show you guys the inside of this absolute beast that I've created called the Ironbreaker. So, we're going to jump in here, and I'm going to be working, I'm going to be even showing you guys the creative process of how I came up with this ship. But once you enter the ship, you're basically in the battle stations. So from here, you can actually set a course, because there's a navigation console in here, and you can set a course. Not that it matters. You can press the M key from anywhere in the game to actually access this menu, but it's a nice little touch. I like it. Right now, I don't even have it fully crewed. I need to get more crew to come on this ship, but you know, people will be spread out throughout different sections of the ship if you buy this one. So, not buy it, if you make a ship like this. So anyways, we're in the battle stations. We're going to exit out here into the, this is the captain's quarters on this side, but there should be other entrances to the battle stations, no? Huh. Interesting, you have to, no. Is this the exit? Oh yeah, it is. Sorry. I still get lost on my own ship. But yeah, this is the captain's quarters. Interestingly enough, this time around, the captain's quarters don't really have a bed for some reason. Maybe I need to rejig some of the locations. We have a work area here, a workbench area. It's got some weapon workbench, an industrial workbench, spacesuit workbench. It doesn't have a research thing. I think I can put one of those in, but this was like my first sketch of the build. So in here we have the all-in-one, which has a couple of bunk beds and stuff for people that want to get some sleep. We have a mess hall. This is for when our crew gets really large. They'll actually be able to have lunch in here and stuff. And, you know, there's a case in here. There's a meeting room in here if you want to have a meeting and whatnot. You know, it's pretty chill. But yeah, we have a kitchen area for the mess hall. And then there should be another section here. This is living quarters. This is just like, you know, you want to hang out, whatever. There should be like some, I think there are even some board games in here, but whatever. Yeah, you have some stuff on here. Just living quarters. You can also get a snack in here if you want to. Although with a mess hall, I think that... Oh, did I really get my character stuck in here? Oh, no. God damn it, game. Really? I was trying to show something. Here, maybe if I sit down, maybe it'll work. Okay, we're going to sit down. We're going to get back up. We're going to unstuck our character. Excuse me. Let's see if we can get out now. There we go. So, anyways, there's that section in there. There's another section that you can go down to. And this is like a cargo section. I'm considering swapping some of the sections around, but this would be like where you just store a bunch of stuff that you might need. It also is the section with the most windows. If you want to look out into space, you can come to the cargo area. It also works kind of like an observation deck. You can see the landing gear from the ship and whatnot over there. It's nice. It's a nice little section. I like it. So, let's come upstairs because we have some more stuff to see because the ship is big. Okay, team? Trust me, this ship is big. And I love that you can just navigate all of the locations of the ship. Now, let me see if I can remember exactly how to go back upstairs because I get lost in here sometimes. So, in here, we're going to come back here. And this is the control section. So this is like a computer section ahead of the cockpit. This is just, you got some workstations in here and whatnot. And then in here would be where you would go to if you needed to board another ship. This is the boarding section. So this is where you have your entrance to other ships and whatnot. It's a little thing that extends outwards, you know, the airlock, all of that jazz. Now, in this section is also where we have the cockpit. And this is like potentially the coolest cockpit because this one is a bridge, basically. I mean, just look at this. This whole thing is the cockpit. You got like some seats here. If you got some passengers or something, they can ride in with you. You have a second pilot seat. Not that there's any multiplayer or anything, but there's a second pilot seat, so you can have maybe a crew member there. I haven't really seen crew members sit there, but, you know. Then you have this huge observation, lots of visibility. Even when you sit down on the ship, there's just tons and tons of visibility, which is friggin' fantastic if you ask me. But yeah, you can see the front of the ship. You can see some of the guns. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I want to test out later is I want to get into a gunfight because I got some turrets. And I want to see if I can see the turrets fire. You see that there's some turrets back there. I want to see if I can see them fire. Like I'll just walk into an engagement zone and then just like park my ship and see the turrets fire off. I think that'll be interesting. But yeah, so this is pretty much the inside of the ship. And now what I want to show you guys is we're going to go into the ship builder. But before we do that, I want to show you guys how we went ahead and we did this. So there's actually a quest in the game, which I'm not going to tell you specifically which quest it is because some people might consider it to be spoilers or whatever, but there's a quest in the game where you can get a ship at the end of the quest. Now, the ship that you get is actually influenced by some of the decisions that you make along the way while you are doing that quest, and this is the ship that I got. It is the Kepler R. So I'm going to show you guys the way that it looks, and I thought this ship looked terrible. The first time I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, what kind of atrocity was I given? I think this looks absolutely atrocious. I cannot stand it. Now, the important thing is, however, even though I still think that this version of the ship, the Kepler R, looks completely terrible, the important thing is that it's got some really good parts. So, for instance, if you look over here at these engines were so good that I actually can't buy them in the game at the progression level that I'm at right now. I just can't get these engines. Not just the engines, but even the weapons. The weapon systems on this ship, they're so good, I can't buy them. I haven't even unlocked them. And I was just like, what the hell is going on? Why are these systems so good when the ship itself looks bad? So what I did, and the way that the system works, is like you can't just delete parts and rebuy them because you lose a lot of money. Basically, whenever you buy a part for a ship, it instantly loses all of its value. So to give you guys an idea, the first ship that I made costed like 80,000 credits, give or take. And the exact moment that I pressed, this is the ship that I want, boop, and I didn't buy the ship. I made a ship from scratch, right? But the exact moment I said, this is the ship I want to make, here's your 80,000 credits, the game just said, okay, your ship is now worth 8,000 credits. I was like, what? They instantly devalue your ship to nothing. So basically, if you want to reuse parts, you can't just delete them and reapply them because they're gonna dock you hard when it comes to money. But so basically the point is this ship had a lot of really good parts, And so I was like, okay, it's time to break this sucker down and make a ship that I actually want to have for myself. Now, the ship currently is a little bit different than what you guys are going to see on the finished product in the video that I'm showing here. But I'll show it to you guys on Ship Builder in game, but I wanted to show you guys the creative process. So we sped up this video, and this is me taking the ship apart. Now, there's a method to this madness. Like, if you pay attention, like, all of these are fuel canisters. So I'm putting all of the fuel on one side. I'm putting all of the structural pieces, like these pieces here, don't actually serve any purpose in the ship, so to speak. These are just like beauty pieces. They add some mass to the ship, which I guess maybe if you want to ram somebody, maybe that's relevant. I don't know exactly what mass does. I think it might add a little bit of hull to the ship. Yeah, it adds some hull, maybe. But ultimately, these parts are not too important. You just use them to make the ship pretty. But I kept these ones because I was like, I like the whole frontal thing that they're doing with this one. And I'm going to replicate that in the ship that I'm going to make. Now, ideally, I want to be able to eventually make a Millennium Falcon. But that's going to take a while because the parts that I currently have available to me don't really give you a ship that looks like the Millennium Falcon. Like, you can replicate the structure, but the look itself doesn't look that great. So I ended up making my own version of what I think the concept of the Millennium Falcon is, which is like a ship that is very good at several things. So it has good maneuverability. It has a decent chunk of storage. So that you can use it as a hauler if you want to, even though in this game, I don't think that the ship that I built is that great. It only has like 2,000 cargo, but I also wanted to keep that maneuverability. So if I had more and more cargo, it's going to be harder to get the ship to move properly, I feel like. Not to mention, it's just not going to look as good because I also want the ship to aesthetically look good. But, so we went ahead, took apart all these things. Like, look at me taking apart every single little piece of this ship. Every single little piece. So to give you guys an idea, right? In here, I'm putting like, these are cosmetic things. These are windows that you can put onto the ship. And I'm also going to put these containers. These containers are bad because they're not the best ones. And it's like, to me, if it's not the best one, I don't want it. So I'm putting the good containers over here somewhere on the bottom right side. And then I'm putting the actual habitational stuff. So the insides of the ship, so to speak, to the right, because I'm not going to be using these ones. Because I wanted to use Deimos, which is more of a military type of ship inside. So I went for that. So I'm separating everything. You can see the weapons over here. And you can see this is the reactor. I think it's either the reactor or the grav drive. They look... No, this one is the grav drive because the reactor looks more like... No. Is it? I think so. Yeah, I think this is the grav drive. And one thing that looks like the fuel things is the reactor. But it might be the other way around. And these are all landing things. I was like, Jesus Christ, this ship had 10, actually more, because these are also landing things. So this ship had like 12 landing pieces of landing gear, and I was like, why? It's ridiculous. I think it might have been because of the mass, because this ship had so much mass. But yeah, we separate everything. Now we got nothing. And at this point, I'm like, okay, now that all the pieces are separate, it's time for me to build what I want. So we started with these Deimos parts, because like I said, Deimos is more military look. And we went ahead and we placed these suckers down, and I was just like, okay, let's get these sorted in a way that I kind of like. I wanted to go for something that's like 3 wide, because I don't want to go too wide, because then it's just going to look ridiculous. So I went 3 wide, and I wanted to have this beefy-ass cockpit, that bridge you guys saw, on top. I was like, okay, this would be the basics of the ship. We got the reactor. Like, if you look right now, you got the reactor, you got the grav drive, you got your engines. And by the way, there's another engine in there. This engine is weaker than these other 3 engines, but we don't have to tell anybody about that, okay? Because we're going to paint it the same and it looks exactly the same. But this engine is actually weaker than the other 3 because these are the ones that came with the ship and they're better quality and I can't buy them. So I bought like the slightly inferior model to these ones because I like it to look symmetrical. Even though Millennium Falcon is my favorite ship and that one's not symmetrical, whenever I'm designing my own, I like them to be symmetrical. But as you guys can see, I mean, just look at the amount of stuff that you can do in this game with this ship builder. This is basically like Lego. This is straight up Lego. And I had such an absolute blast. Like here I'm just playing around with the thing and trying to figure out, okay, which one are we doing? How am I going to put this thing? And just trying to sort things out to decide which habitational models I was going to have and how I was going to display them and how I was going to put like the bridge and all of that. And as you can see now, it's finally starting to, finally starting to form, but I ended up not liking because it was too small. I needed to have like a slightly longer build for the way that I wanted to put things, because otherwise it was going to look kind of ridiculous. So anyways, here's our basis, right? Going to put the engines, going to put everything on there. We actually ended up, this was a neat little trick that I came up with because like I said, I like symmetry. So this reactor almost looks like a fuel thing. So I put a fuel thing on the other side and it almost looks symmetrical. It's not. It is not, because the reactor actually looks quite different. But yeah, we went with that. So in here, it's going to be like the one in the back is the mess hall. The one in the middle is like an all-in-one. The one here on the right, I forget. I think that one of these is going to be the workshop. The other one's going to be captain's quarters. And then in here, there's a battle stations. Yeah, there. That's kind of like the bones. Then we added the thing for the docking up here. Then we're going to put some cargo holds. I don't want to put too many, so we're just going to go with 4 of the ones that I can get the best of right now. And this is going to give us about 2,000 something cargo capacity, which is more than enough for most things, unless you really want to haul like infinite amounts of cargo, right? Then you're going to need way more cargo than this. But yeah, we're going to put that. Then we're going to put some more fuel. Here's another problem that I noticed on the ship. You can't just jump massive amounts because I didn't put too many fuel things, because again, I want the ship to have a sleek look to it. And if you just start putting more and more and more and more and more parts, sure, you can get it to jump further, but it's also going to be heavier, it's going to be less maneuverable, and it's going to look uglier. So I'm trying to balance all of these things out. Now we're going to be starting to put some more beauty things in, like these wings here for the middle, and I'm trying to get like a nice little silhouette so that it looks cool. And I was like, okay, we need to put some wings on the side as well, because otherwise it just looks like one big square. Then I'm also trying to decide on hard points and how we're going to get things done there. And you can see that it's starting to shape up. It's starting to shape up a little bit, but it's this whole process was just so much fun to me. Like, to give you guys an idea, this video itself is around 5 minutes. It took me an hour and 20 minutes or so to go through this whole process. And I was like, oh man, I could spend another hour just fiddling around with it and building another ship. The problem with it is that shipbuilding actually costs a ridiculous amount of money. Shipbuilding in this game is really expensive, which is why I was forced to basically refurbish parts from another ship, because building this from scratch would have cost me, I don't know, maybe 1 million credits or something. It is super expensive. But yeah, now we're trying to decide, I'm going to put some windows in here. What am I going to do? Just basically trying to beautify the whole thing. We've already put in weapon systems at this point. You can see weapons here. These are 2 lasers, and these are 2 rail guns, which are the weapons, again, that came with the ship that I got from the quest, because these weapons are much more powerful than anything that I can buy for whatever reason. Now we're doing the undercarriage there. We're going to put some friggin' landing gears. I actually had to put 5 landing gears because 4 was not enough because the ship still has a decent chunk of mass. But yeah, we're sorting out, putting up some windows. Yeah, there's some windows on some of these things as well because I want to be able to see outside at some point. I wish the ship could have more windows, but at the end of the day, it's also like a combat ship, so I can't have too many windows. But yeah, and that right there's the shield generator. Now we're painting it. Oh yeah, here's another thing. Whenever you're painting the ship, if you double click a part, you can actually paint the whole ship at once. There you go. So first we started with black and red, but then I actually changed it to have a more metallic wear and tear look to it. So we went with gray. That's the cargo hull right there at the bottom. And here I was trying to decide what I was going to have for the middle. But this is the basic silhouette that we settled on. There's a couple of more changes that I've made. Like we put some windows and stuff and whatnot. And then we ended up putting some more wings. This footage doesn't look very good because the way that the verticality works in the shipbuilder when you're doing something as big as this, it kind of like starts going a little bit wonky and it gets a little bit tricky to follow. But yeah, this is kind of like the final design that we settled on. And then I added some more weapons to it because I realized that with the class of ship that I was working here, I could actually have some more hard points, whereas I couldn't have hard points, more than like 4 hard points on the previous ships that I did. So I just put a bunch of turrets on it, but don't pay too much attention where I put the turrets here, because I tested these in combat and I didn't like the positioning, so I actually changed it, and I'm going to show you guys the way that it looks. And okay, so this is like the final look of the ship, right? I'll show you where I place the weapons and whatnot. Another thing that I changed was, like, you see how these wings come a little bit forward? Initially I thought, oh, that looks kind of cool, like more aggressive, but I ended up deciding against that, and we pushed these 2 wings a little bit further back so that it looks more natural with the lines of the ship. But yeah, this is the initial design that I settled on, and there you go, right there. And then I named it the Ironbreaker, right? So this is what the ship looked like. Now let me show you guys something. We're gonna go into the ship builder here, and I'm gonna show you guys what the ship actually looks like right now, because I did a couple of changes from that thing. One of the problems is that I still get lost on it, because I only made this ship yesterday. So like right there, we went into the cargo hull when I didn't mean to. But the exit should be... Isn't it? No, it's in the battle stations, I forget. So I have to go to the battle stations or the captain quarters. I need to figure out this captain quarters situation because it's not ideal. But loading in through the battle stations, I actually kind of like it.
You need to harvest any organic materials. Now would be the time.
So, if we go over here to the ship builder... Right here, ship builder control concept... You can see that it's a little bit different than the one that you saw in the video. So let me go in here. So a couple of things that I changed. I changed the positioning of the turrets. So the turrets initially were like here and then another one in the bottom. But I feel like they didn't have good visibility. Not to mention that like this, these turrets will automatically fire when ships position themselves in my back. So it's like if you come up behind me, these turrets are going to like... Pow, pow, instantly firing at you, and then we have these 2 which will fire like towards the sides and to the front, so they'll also assist if ships are coming in from the flanks, and also assist with regular firing on the front, which I think is kind of cool. I'm still not sure if this is the most efficient thing. I need to test it a little bit more, but I just think that in terms of looks, I think the ship looks fantastic. Another thing that I added with these small little wings here to the engines, which kind of like reinforces the overall kind of like triangular feel of the ship. I think it gives it a really nice silhouette. I think the ship looks great. And, most importantly, the ship handles great. Like, I was really surprised with how good this ship handles, okay? But yeah, that's my ship, and potentially one of my favorite things to do in Starfield is, hands down, designing these crazy-ass ships that then you can go into space and you can actually play with them, and they do have a gameplay implication. Even if it's not a huge one, I think that a lot of people are not huge fans of... they're not huge fans of the space combat. That's what I've been getting. But personally, I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. I do wish they had HOTAS support, which kind of sucks that they don't, but it is what it is. So as you can see here, we can get into our pilot seat. Now let me show you guys the visibility of the cockpit, because that was one of the biggest problems with my previous ship. I didn't like the way the cockpit looked. It was very restricting. In here, like, all of this is visible. It's nighttime now, so you can barely see, but like everything is visible, which means you can fly it from inside the ship. Whereas my previous ship, like, all of this stuff was blocked off, so it's terrible to try and fly it from the inside. So let's go ahead and take off with the ship. Get a nice little takeoff animation from the planet.
Pressure holding.
Oh, look at that. That is a beaut. God damn. That is so good.
Peaceful from up here, doesn't it?
And as you can see, if you pay attention to like the maneuverability, this is only with like 6 pips on engine. So we got 6 pips of power to the engine. Right now I have 4 on lasers, 4 on ballistics, and 2 on the turrets. Because I don't want the turrets to be my main form of damage, but you can like swap that around if you want to. I don't know. Like, look at this. It boosts to 200, which is pretty good for a ship as big as this one. Look at how it handles. Like if we go to the optimal handling speeds, turns reasonably fast. You can drift reasonably fast too. As you can see, we're now drifting sideways. Even the thrusters work very well to like get ship maneuverability. Look at this. It is super maneuverable for combat. And it's got a bunch of hard points. It's got a really beefy shield. And it's just a ton of fun. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to share that with you because the last time I did a ship, a lot of people said, oh, I'd like to see how you made it. That's how I made it. Thank you all very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification icon, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong. Stay safe. Peace out.